Sawadee Krap and welcome to another episode here for the Funky Pod and two Media Prof reacts to. And this time, what am I reacting to? Well, it's still the NBA playoffs, so I'm reacting to the NBA playoffs, and actually not really the playoffs, the NBA. Reacting to Ja Morant, of course, because that's overshadowing the playoffs to some extent right now, right? So Ja Morant in the news again, because again there's a video out where he's holding a gun, being all gangster. It's the second time now after it happened the first time on his IG, I believe, and then he got suspended for 8 games, which wasn't really that much back then. The commissioner, Adam Silver of the NBA, said, yeah, hey, I think he learned his lesson, and now it's like 2 months later, 3 months later or something, and he does the same thing again. Now it's not on his own IG, it's like of a friend or whatever, who knows. But yeah, so it's again Ja Morant trying to be a gangster. And I mean, we went through the whole discussion 2 or 3 months ago when all the NBA pundits told him, dude, you're not a gangster, and people came out showing like how he's not a gangster and how he grew up in like a private school and like a bigger state and whatnot. Don't even want to talk about this, like this fake gangster stuff. Like maybe a little bit, but also because I try to create videos that explain the media impact, right? And like maybe even a little bit like societal impact or how the media impacts society and all those things, right? So I think there are 2 things that I want to elaborate on just a little bit. One being, like, why does Ja Morant want to be a gangster? If you're not growing up in the hood, if you're not growing up with issues, problems, and you don't have to deal drugs and fight with people, like, why do you want to be a gangster so bad? Well, maybe it's because of the media that he consumed, right? So you're consuming lots of, and I know I'm stereotyping, I'll go into details in just a second, but let me just stereotype for a second, and then we pick it apart, okay? But so stereotypes, a stereotypical young black American. Okay, I'm watching all the hip hop videos. I'm consuming all the content that comes out of the hood. I see that my idols do some crazy stuff. So maybe that's why I'm drawn to this. Maybe also because, and that's now a media theory that we have, and I connected a little bit. Like, so one theory in media studies is called the society of the spectacle, right? So it's like you watch stuff and like, oh, that's so cool, and you're drawn into what you're watching, right? Usually people don't enact like the spectacular that they're watching. Like we're watching reality TV shows, the Kardashians and so on. They became that big because we enjoyed the spectacle that we've seen. And then we're like, okay, they do all those stuff, so we don't have to do it. Now, if you're then Ja Morant and you have all the money and you have all the power in terms of like everyone just says yes to whatever you're saying, you have all those yes men in your circle, all the boys like yeah man, Ja, you're the man, and so on, then maybe you're trying to actually live it. You're not just watching it, you're like, yeah, ooh, that's so cool, or whatever. You're actually like, yeah, I can be like that. I want to be like that. Like, because those were your heroes when you grew up, right? And I also heard like one good point. One of those NBA pundits, who was it? It wasn't Stephen A. It was someone else. Whoever said it. He said like, I think it was Jalen Rose actually even. He said like, well, back in the day, like, you know, there's been like some news and rumors about like what Allen Iverson, not the other AI, what AI was pulling back then. But we just didn't really know because there was no social media. Fair point. But now there is social media. So maybe Ja Morant was like, oh man, all the guys that I looked up to back then, they did some crazy shit like this. All right. Doesn't mean you have to do it. And now there is social media. There is 24/7. And even worse, he didn't get caught. Like, they put it out there. I mean, him and his friends, they uploaded the video actively. It's not like TMZ was like sneaky and like some reporter or some fan took a video of him with a gun or something. No, they put it out there. So media literacy, right? Apparently still a thing. And now there are discussions whether or not like Ja Morant is dumb. I'm not saying this, right? But like, was it a dumb move? Is it just stupid in disregard? Because he's clearly a smart basketball player. He's also I listened to some of the interviews after the first incident. He's clearly also smart in what he says, so he can play the role very well. He knows what people want to hear. But it's also the problem, because he basically lied to Adam Silver and everybody else, and now everyone is like, okay, you lied to me once, well, fool on me, right? Fool me once, shame on me. Fool me twice, the hammer's coming down. And I mean, you see the comments probably just like I see them, like online, and everybody and their mother are now calling for like a 1-year suspension or even more for Morant, which, I mean, who am I to weigh in on this? But if I would be the commissioner, I would be petty AF, because I would be like, you lied to me, you lied to my face. You signed a contract saying that you will not engage in any activities that will hurt the NBA, that will hurt your franchise, and so on. You broke this now twice. That's what you get. So I would be super petty if I would be the commissioner. And if I would be the Grizzlies, I would be the same. I would be like, dude, you're done. They're probably not like this because they see that they can make way more money if he's around and so on. Nike dropped a new shoe, like a new Ja Morant shoe, just a few months ago, I believe. So they probably also want to keep him around somehow because they want to keep making the money back to some extent, I assume. But still, crazy. Back to the media prof talking, right? So, I think the media influenced Ja a lot. Like we see this a lot, like kids that grow up in like in a nice setting, nice environment, in a very, protected environment, who don't have to go through hardships and struggles and so on. They just watch it in the media, and not only TV anymore, because now Ja Morant is 20-something, right? 22 or whatever. So he grew up with the internet, so he's seen like all the gangster shit on Instagram and so on. So he's like, yeah, I want that. So I think that's one big part. The second part, as mentioned just a minute ago, like the media literacy. And I see this as someone who works with students as well in that space, right? Like 20-something year old students. You would assume that Gen Z, whatever's next, that people who grew up with the media, with internet and so on, right? Digital natives. You would assume that their media literacy is higher. The thing is, they can all use it, but I'm not quite sure if they all understand the implications that it has. Same now with AI, artificial intelligence, not Allen Iverson. I can see that there are lots of like people / students, they simply believe whatever the AI tells them as an answer, right? So that just shows to me that the media literacy isn't really there. It's like, yeah, we can all use it, but we're not questioning it. So, and I don't want to go on an AI rant, because AI, both artificial intelligence and Allen Iverson with a crossover were awesome for like in specific periods and developments that they brought to their respective tables. That was smooth, huh? But what I'm trying to get at is like, I think while Ja Morant is a digital native and grew up on Instagram and so on, having all those yes men maybe around and just growing up in like his bubble in this, oh God, I don't want to say echo chamber, really hurt him. And if you're young and you just grow up in like this echo chamber, in this bubble where everyone is just like, yeah, you're so cool, you're the best too, you think you can get away with anything. And I think he didn't realize that people watching aren't just only yes men watching. It's not just your friends that are watching your stuff. It's actual real people going through real stuff, living real lives, having real problems and real struggles, and are trying to get away from the BS. They're trying to get away from gun violence, drug dealing, and whatnot. They're trying to get away, and they're like, dude, you don't realize how lucky you are. And like, why the F are you doing this? And now they want to see him getting punished, or maybe having to actually work for a salary or something like that. So I think those are the two main parts from like a media person point of view, right? So the impact that the media had on Ja growing up and still has, because I mean he's still only early 20s, so he's still very impressionable. So that's one thing. And the second thing, he doesn't understand the impact the media has on others, or like how other people perceive him, because he's just used to all the bubble, the people in his bubble, not the NBA, or in his bubble, just picking him up the whole time. but he doesn't get that this is not the real world, and I think that's a big problem. Well, let me know what you think. Do you think, man, we're all overreacting, over exaggerating? That's not a big deal, or do you say no, it's a big deal? He should get fired and should work at whatever. Get a real job, man. Even though he's already made enough money to probably not have to do that. But what are your thoughts? Let me know in the comments. Keep it civil, please. Always getting like those aggressive messages these days. There's something in the air, in the water, or something. Even if you disagree, keep it civil. We can all disagree. So shout out in the comments what you think. Hit me up on social media at funkitpod. Email if you want to write a love letter, or like tell me how much I suck. Those are the messages usually. Funkitpod@gmail.com. Like, share, subscribe. Rate this podcast if possible, because it helps to reach a bigger audience. That would be nice. And then we can discuss more about Ja Morant, wannabe gangsters, and so maybe next time we make a podcast episode about like the impact of the gangster culture on society and media's role in it, or something like that. Until then, stay safe, take care. Don't take videos of guns in public. Until then, Sawadee Cup.